Yeah, I mean, she's been dished a horribly moral conflict in that her child has been murdered, and the police are adamant that it was an accidental death, and she has an instinct that it was something to do with the work she was doing undercover, and you know, even though she isn't being supported by her family, isn't being supported by the police department, the world that she has just been working in it goes against any of those rules. And so she has a really, it's almost like the work she's done undercover has tapped into her more immoral understanding of the way people can be. So she goes undercover, back undercover without the police protection and without her family's support, and we'll see what happens, whether it's worth it or not, because the truth has consequences for sure. Yeah, we had police training for a couple of days, and the key to the training was in the firearm and respect for the firearm, a healthy sense of fear of the firearm, and really an understanding of the seriousness of having a weapon. And that was terrific. And then we went to the shooting range, and I must admit I did feel a sort of dread about being there with 4 of these other actors that I was working with, all of whom had had training in, you know, shooting and weapons and so on. And I just thought, oh God, this is going to be so awful. This is going to sort of validate the fact that, you know, I can't play this character, all those insecurities, you know. Anyway, and it turned out I was the best shot out of all of them. I just had a natural ability to hit the target. And they said it's because I was much more relaxed than they were, these guys that were really trying hard to do it, and that the key is to just allow the bullet to whatever. And it was a kind of a bittersweet feeling afterwards, I must admit, because I'm not proud of being good at doing that. I feel really, I'm very, very well aware of, you know, the fact that these weapons have been developed and made for only one thing, and that I feel very sad about that. And so I didn't want, and nor did the show promote weapons and firearms as being cool. It was absolutely not something that I was comfortable with, that notion for a second. So hopefully that's, you know, that's something which the audience will take away, that there's always a consequence to any kind of, you know, death or injury in the show. Well, the writer Matthew Parkhill had that kind of loss and grief in his own family, and that was something that, because he and I are good friends, very close, I was able to hear from him, and I could feel it coming through in the writing really well, really authentically. And also the work that I do in, you know, as a human rights activist, the loss of children, the loss of family members is happening all the time, all around the world. And I work hard to try and raise awareness about those things and remedy the terrible plight of people, for example, in Congo, the Democratic Republic of Congo. So these are things I think about a lot anyway. And what it does is it makes me very keen to deliver an authenticity to the grief that I'm feeling. And grief is a complicated thing. And I think because there's so much denial in our culture about losing a child, because it isn't an everyday occurrence. The denial, the anger, we need to go through those things before we finally accept what's happened. And that's very well drawn in Rogue, is in a way, Grace's, you know, her insistence on finding the truth is a way of keeping her son alive. She's in a denial state. So all of these areas are very authentically thought about. You know, me as an actress, Matthew Parkhill as the writer, and then the whole host of actors that were working on the project.